Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm your host. My name is David Almeida. Every week I like to sit down with a friend, an actor, or an artist from the Central Florida arts community. We watch an episode of the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Then I hit record, and we synopsize the episode and use it as a springboard to talk about anything and everything that we can possibly think of. This week, my guest is Logan Benedict. Logan is a musical theater guy. He is a leading man's leading man, tall, dark, and handsome. It just makes you sick, really. Anyway, look for pictures of him on the website and you'll see what I mean. Come on. Could you give some of us a chance here, really? Anyway, Logan is really fun, and he's actually one of those great, super handsome guys who's also very goofy and funny, and I really, really had a good time with him on the show. Logan and I watched Season 3, Episode 19. It was called New York, New York, and the original air date was March 3rd, 1982. I think I'm all ready to jump on in. Let's face the facts with Logan Benedict. We were just listening to our mic check, and Logan said, that sounded like we were setting up for a weird sex thing.
I mean, wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, well, let's listen to it again and see what we think. So that is adjustable to height. It is also angled. That's why I put the yellow dot there for you. But if you look, it's actually angling up a little bit, but...
So the dot is where I should aim
The
my
dot
voice.
is where you should aim your voice. That's actually, I put it there thinking that's probably about right for you.
You like it like...
Yeah. And if you're not going to talk loudly at me, then leaning in is good, like this. So that'll be for the extras.
Yeah, the sex part's the extra part.
Yep. Story of my life.
And that's usually where I get an extra $50.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Oh.
Yeah, story of my life. It's never standard. It's always an option. And usually I have to pay extra.
That's on my Tinder profile.
Welcome, Logan Benedict.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to finally have you here. We've tried to coordinate a few times. And
true.
There have been a few snafus, a hurricane or two, and other things like that.
Well, it wasn't really a hurricane. It never really actually showed up.
Ish, yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for everyone else except Central Florida.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they get it bad. We're all like, shoo, well, good thing that wasn't a problem.
Yeah, I just got fat.
It was, I put on my Facebook, I said, hunker down? I thought everyone said hunger down.
Hunger down.
I thought they meant eat a lot so that you keep your hunger levels down in case the storm takes our food or something. I don't know. Anywho, what we have here, you're actually set up making a video. Are you recording us right now?
I am.
You are?
Actually, yeah. I mean, sometimes I do my own videos on something called Instagram.
Insta what now?
Instagram.
Okay.
And I thought, if we're doing an entire episode together, that I should take some of the best parts of that and condense it into 60 seconds.
Okay.
So it's the mega mix of our podcast here.
That's great because I promise you, of everything that we record here, there is probably 60 quality seconds.
There's at least 60 good seconds. Also on my Tinder profile as well. Logan Benedict, at least 60 good seconds.
60 quality seconds. But, well, great to have you here. We only recently discovered that we don't live very far from one another.
And the way I found out was...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a story. I forgot.
Yeah. I forgot where I was going, but I was pulling out of my driveway, and I almost ran over a person on a bike. Mm-hmm. And I said, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I realized, I was like, hey, I know that fucker. Yeah. I mean, that very nice guy that I almost ran over. Yeah.
And then I get a text on my bike, and I see, hey, did I just almost hit you on your bike? Are you wearing a red hat? And I was, and I realized there was an intersection where I was coming down the street, and there was a point where it was like, didn't quite see that there was a car there. It was kind of a blind thing.
Yep.
It was not my perception that I had been close to death. I felt like it was like, hi car, we adjusted accordingly, and clearly no one was hurt.
Well, that's good because
because you feel like you almost killed me,
right?
Clearly.
And I don't have insurance, so that would have just you would have to pay for your own
I would, or
broken leg.
take it out of you in other ways.
Well, I mean, here I am on the podcast.
Yep,
This
here
is
we
my
go.
payment to you.
This is
Yeah.
for the attempted injury. I think that is a legal term. So I was like, well, gee, you got time? You live close by? Get over here. I feel so much guilt for how many people that I work with at the theme parks that live down that way, down near the theme parks, which is, I mean, it's a good 30 to 45 from here.
Well, and because of that, I have absolutely no excuse. So when you said, "Can you just hop over?" I said, "God damn it! I had no reason." Yes.
I don't know how to say no.
No, and here, yes. But it's a kill a bird with two stones. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Is that the line? Yeah,
Yes,
because
that
I
is.
can film this.
And
We both get a thing out of it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And joy of each other's company, and that's
We got to watch a show together.
that's ancillary, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did just watch a show. We watched The Facts of Life, Season 3, Episode 19, entitled New York, New York. That's how they say it in the fancy part of New York.
New York.
New That's more, all aboard the train for New York.
For New York.
Right now, leaving Bangor, Maine. Hasn't been a train here for over 35 years.
Well, that was part of one of my first observations. Is I actually was like, we're talking about New York a lot, and nobody has a good New York accent. I mean, not that I do.
You don't think Joe in the show had a good New York accent?
I mean, I'm not an acting teacher from the '80s, but I'm not sure yet.
So before we start getting into the show, I always like to ask my guests if you would please give me a 1 to 2 sentence quick synopsis of the show, kind of like you might have seen in the TV guide listing in the day.
Sure. Joe and Blair return to New York, New York, to find out that they've never really left. That's it.
Ooh, beautiful.
See? I try to keep it short and sweet.
That's great. We appreciate
Another
that.
description of myself.
Yeah, short and sweet.
I'm going to keep going back.
We're going to keep, that's the callback for the show today.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about time.
Hi-yo. Nope.
Nope. My penis.
And then before we get into the big part of the show, we're just going to get a little bit of background. You and I talked about this before we started recording and actually watched the show. Talk to me about your experience with this show, if any. Did you watch it when you were younger?
Well, and that was what we talked about. While I know the show existed, and I know that it's a very popular show, at the time I was more into shows like Silver Spoons, with Family Ties.
Did you say Punky Brewster?
Well, and I thought for a second that Joe was Punky Brewster, but Punky Brewster, was she even born yet at the time?
Punky Brewster started in 84, 2 years after.
So Punky,
this episode we're in 82 right now.
So Punky could be Joe's younger sister.
Yeah, or her very teenage mom baby kind of a thing.
Well,
but you thought that Nancy McKeon looked like Soleil Moon Frye.
Yeah, and Soleil Moon Frye is one of my lifetime crushes.
Is she really?
Yeah, and I just found out this week. I thought Atreyu from The Neverending Story was a girl. And so I had the biggest crush on Atreyu, literally until probably I was 17 or 18. And found out that Atreyu was a boy.
Oh.
And I've had a lot of things question my sexuality, but
I think our Logan's a queer.
But especially The Neverending Story, and because Atreyu was an attractive, boy apparently. Mm-hmm. But I found out the hard way.
Wow.
I think Soleil looks like a gorgeous Alanis Morissette.
You're right. She totally is. Yeah, she's pretty.
You live, you learn. Sorry.
You live, you learn. Yeah.
Is that your Mrs. Garrett?
No, that was. It's not very different, is it?
Is it?
Girls, I have some advice.
You live.
You live. You learn. You learn.
It's like a black fly in your Chardonnay. Anyway.
So you never really watched this show. You were, like you said, you were aware of Facts of Life, but you technically had never really sat down.
Right. Yeah. For some
one.
reason, I don't know why it wasn't one of those shows that was rerun over and over again, like MASH. We talked about Cheers.
Yeah, but it was on. I mean, it was on Nick at Night. It did make the rounds, and there are people who have been on the show who did catch it then. But it's not really your demographic.
Well, and it was weird because listening to some of your podcasts and hearing the other Logan talk about it, the gay Logan. I'm the straight Logan.
You're the straight Logan.
I'm the straight Logan with a bachelor's in musical theater. So get that right.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
And
the podcast isn't over yet.
And we're both 37, but for some reason he'd watched the show and I never had.
It's still not streaming here, but it runs every morning on both Logo and.
Logo's the gay channel.
Oh, really? Interesting that you would know that, Logan, as a heterosexual male.
I only watch it when I'm listening to my musicals on vinyl.
Musical theater.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, it does still run on cable. So it is still out there. You can still watch it. So interesting. So I had the distinction of presenting you your very first episode of Facts of Life. And it's interesting because this is a typical show, but it's also a very atypical show. Mostly because the locale, we're not at the school other than the beginning. It takes place in the city in completely foreign locales. And introduces us to two new characters whom we never see again. And
wouldn't that just be like the greatest thing as a young actress and being like, I'm making it big, and I'm gonna be the new best friend on the Facts of Life
for one episode.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh God, I was such a bitch.
Wap 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 wap. So we're ready to jump in and start synopsizing this biatch. Let's do it.
Synopsize a word?
Absolutely. It's the verb form of a synopsis, to synopsize.
So am I not non-synopsized?
But
I don't know. I was play on words with circumcised, but it's enough.
Oh, wow. Are you synopsized or not?
Well,
since you brought it up,
I am Jewish. Actually, no, I'm not. But I am synopsized.
You are synopsized.
Enough about me and my penis.
Like many of us Gentiles are, just because it was all the rage in the
80s,
in the 70s, and the 60s. In my case,
a good old synopsized penis.
It's like all cleaned up, like a nice haircut. Scott Thompson did a funny monologue about it on The Kids in the Hall.
Oh, I remember that was a good one too.
Yeah, because it was just Mom, Dad, Doctor, I want my foreskin back. I should do this as an audition. I should fucking steal this as an audition one. It was taken from me without my permission.
Well,
they say you lose up to 80% of the sensitivity in the head of the penis. The mind boggles.
Sorry to take a tangent on foreskins. So a long time ago, I was doing a show, and one of the guys in the cast, we were getting into an argument about foreskins.
Okay, about denying their existence.
And I'm synopsized, and he's not.
Okay, yeah.
And he was like, well, I think that's fundamentally wrong, and I don't think you should be allowed to make that decision for children.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so, long story short, we agreed and disagreed, and now he writes. He's like a head psychologist for Yale University, and he writes all of these articles about how wrong it is to cut or not to cut, and to make that decision to mutilate a penis.
Mutilate a baby without
And I always want to think that it's my fault.
You got it.
that he's devoted his whole life to preventing penis mutilation.
Wow.
So
Logan Benedict, his penis inspires careers.
Yeah. His penis inspired a movement. Yeah, wouldn't be the first time.
It's hi-oh. But yeah, but I mean, and I kind of, so you disagreed with him.
All I said was, I don't remember, so why does it matter?
Oh, okay. I totally get that point of view. And there is a documentary that came out in the 90s. It was a very low-budget, homemade documentary about circumcision. And taking different standpoints and stuff. And I'm fairly sure there was a guy there who he talks about from a psychological standpoint. We carry, if you've ever been in therapy, we carry all the scars, all the things that we had happen to us in our childhood. It's all with us. It's all in our brain, even if we don't know it's there.
And on our penis.
And on our yes. Well, no longer.
Well, I mean, I have a scar there.
Well, the scar, true,
right.
as don't we all. But the thing is, it's like he talks about that he believes he still carries trauma from his circumcision, from that moment. Like he believes he has traced it all the way back to that.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then, I'm sorry for that guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't remember. And the thing is, if I lost 80% of the feeling, God, God knows what would happen to me if I still had that 80%.
Exactly. We wouldn't be here.
I'd still be at home right now.
We'd be at home. But
you have to do that into the mic. Good.
And well, I did.
Oh, I know, but really get up in there, yeah, because that was.
Get up and do that, as in you want me to stand up and.
No, because I when I play this back, it'll.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome, America.
Yeah, that'll be my new ringtone.
And when people go, huh? You just, it's just that's my friend David.
Yeah, don't mind.
So let's get to synopsizing the episode, Logan.
What about me?
We begin the episode in the parlor. And, I'm sorry, got to stop here already.
Right.
As far as we begin the episode in the parlor in yet another episode where most of the show does not take place at Eastland. This is the third of 3 episodes where we go to New York and spend a chunk of time there. And like I said, I've wondered if there was some sort of a tie-in with New York City that the network was trying to do to portray.
Maybe they were trying to get more tourists there, because that was also a time where New York was awful.
Yeah, and the I Love New York, that campaign was just kicking off, but it was still tough.
When did that T-shirt come out, the I Heart New York?
I believe we researched it, and it was 77 or 78.
Oh, so we're like getting into those years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this is 82. So this is in the heart of the I Heart New York campaign.
Yeah.
But it's still a crime-ridden shithole. It's like you could also put the money.
Still a crime-ridden shithole.
Also on Logan's Tinder profile.
Yes. Talking about my butt.
We're doing. We begin in the parlor with Mrs. Garrett skiing, pretending to ski, and singing a weird song to herself.
Well, and I thought it was a double hand job.
Oh, no.
Oh.
No.
Does that make it into the cut usually?
Yeah.
The double hand jobs?
The double... It can.
It can. I mean, maybe this week.
Yeah. I mean, if that's how you do them, then okay. Then maybe
it's like skiing.
To each his own.
Yeah.
I didn't gather that she was going on the trip. Did you? What we gathered was that Tootie and Natalie were going away for a skiing weekend.
But then why did they go to New York City if they were going to go?
Blair and Joe go to New York City.
Oh, see.
So this must be. It's still a 2-day weekend. It would have been more interesting, or at least made a little bit more sense if it had been a 3-day weekend, like Labor Day, Memorial Day, or something, where we would go for a 3-day weekend, which would precipitate making some type of a trip away from the school.
Do we know how far away they live from New York City?
They're in Peekskill, which is about an hour by train.
Okay,
from what I understand.
Okay,
and so the opening scene serves little purpose other than to get some stuff in for Tootie and Natalie. And here's the long and short of it. Mrs. Garrett does some funny physical stuff about the skiing.
Right.
And then Tootie says, gee, it's going to be fun. We go away for the weekend skiing. And then Natalie comes in and says, I don't want to go skiing. And Tootie's like, why not? And Natalie says, I found your old lift ticket in your pocket. And Mrs. Garrett reads it, and it's a disclaimer about if you get injured, all these different types of things can happen and go wrong. And Natalie, they never play up the Jewish thing with Natalie.
Oh.
They never really ever went there.
She's definitely synopsized.
But
she's Jewish.
But the thing is, there is that I'm flashing back to it. There's an old Buddy Hackett routine where Buddy Hackett used to talk about Jews don't ski. No, that we
or
break
play
things.
Sports really.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
but
they're funny.
there is they're good with money
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
But so they're not explicitly there. There is a sense of Natalie kind of becoming the Schmendrick here, becoming that
From the last unicorn?
Exactly. Yes. Of Natalie saying, I'm not going to get hurt. People get hurt. This is terrible. And, suddenly she's kind of like a Woody Allen, sort of a hypochondriac. Things can go wrong. It's like, well, of course, it's fucking skiing.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's not sure she wants to go. How is it resolved? I don't remember. Oh, Mrs. Garrett gets to fix the situation by saying, I'm not going to do the voice that much. We'll get plenty of it. Actually, I guess I should do the voice.
You gotta do the fucking voice.
Because she's not here for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
She says, I remember the first time I went skiing. And I hit a stump and I twisted my ankle. And
that's what it was.
Natalie's
You're
like,
right.
see, people get hurt. People get hurt. And Mrs. Garrett's like, and the really handsome ski instructor carried me back to the lodge.
Yeah, and then what's the other girl's
Blair
name?
comes in and says, oh, I remember I had a ski instructor once.
Right.
His name was Lars. And Natalie is all, handsome ski instructor. Ski lot. So suddenly Natalie, who is the horny one, we've also played up that Natalie is the boy crazy is the term they use.
Crazy.
But Natalie's the horny one. So Natalie very quickly starts whistling a different tune when it's like, what?
Every show needs the horny one.
And then the next part of this scene is Blair and Joe coming in, preparing for their trip to New York City.
Right.
And what do we have? Joe with one duffel bag and Blair with a mountain of luggage. We've talked about that before.
Take only what you need to survive.
When you have a rich person and you want to convey that they're rich, a mountain of
Bags.
luggage, comedy evergreen.
But also, I love that you can tell that there's nothing in them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could tell that they're
playing,
very
"Ooh,
light.
This
Yeah.
is so heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic
That's true.
acting.
So very quickly, we gather that Blair and Joe are going into New York City for the weekend, and Joe can't wait to get back to the old neighborhood, and Blair can't wait to get back. And as typical with Blair and Joe, they very quickly end up somehow arguing and insulting each other. So
Which were really red hot zingers.
yeah, they were. Before Blair came in, Joe was talking about how she loved the way people... I don't know how they get it, but Tootie and Natalie are kind of like trying to say, hey, we could kind of act street and New
And they kept saying
Yorkish.
rank out. What is rank out?
Rank out? That's not a term.
I've heard a
I
lot
mean,
of
I was
terms
alive
now.
in the 80s, and I don't remember that term.
Yeah.
To criticize, demean, or complain about someone or something in a petty or naggingly critical manner.
The boss ranks out anyone who disagrees with her in front of the entire office.
My parents ranked me out a bit for what had happened, but I was expecting it to be much worse.
Ranked out.
Ranked out. So it's, we can talk street or whatever, and then Joe hits with some zingers. You're so stupid, you don't know how to spell IQ.
That's a goal. That's gold.
That's a good one. And then the other one is, and you're so spoiled, if you were a milk carton, the date would read BC.
I actually like that one.
I love that one.
That one's. I mean, this was like. Was this before Your Mama's So Fat? Because those were the days.
I think so.
I really enjoyed a good Your Mama's So Fat.
Yeah. And I feel like, because I always equate those with Damon Wayans. He did a lot of that in his stand-up in his early stand-up career, which would have been the late 80s.
When your mama played hopscotch, it was like Oregon, Idaho, California.
History.
Your mama. And
The
there's
history-
a picture of your mother right there.
The
which is very odd.
history of your... Hey, shut up. I love my mama. Oh, but in 1993, in Living Color. So Damon Wayans, as one of the Wayans brothers, one episode featured a game called The Dirty Dozens, had the same style as Concentration and Jeopardy. And your mama's so fat they had to baptize her at SeaWorld.
You gotta laugh at that. I mean, I feel like we live at a time where those aren't funny anymore, unfortunately. Like, you can't...
Yeah, well, I think it's offensive to people of the plus-sized community.
Well, but that's the sad thing, is that nobody can take a joke, even if it's as funny as getting baptized at SeaWorld. I mean, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. But looking this up right now, it seems that 1993, so the pop culture emergence of the Yo Mama joke didn't happen until the 90s. So this definitely precedes that.
Then, yeah, it was my childhood then.
Yeah. So...
Have you seen my childhood? I'm sorry, it comes out sometimes.
There it is. So the Blair's return zinger to Joe is turn blue.
And we used that twice in the show. Is the joke that it doesn't make any sense? Because it didn't make sense to me.
I think unless turning blue means suffocate, like
hold your breath. Until you
hold your breath until you die type of a thing. But there is a very rich person vibe about that. Turn blue,
right?
Because
Abba die.
Because it's not go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I think it works. I think it does.
Nothing...
And the fact that it's called back, because it gets kind of a the first time, but when they do the callback, it works.
Yeah.
So then we end up next scene. So they leave, and Blair is like, Joe, would you help me with the luggage? And Joe says, sure. She grabs one of the bags, throws it over Blair's head. It ends up messing up her hair and the strap across her face. Hilarity.
And it seemed like one of the actresses was breaking character and was laughing at this.
Yeah, that's a really genuine wow.
That's a genuine break of character.
Yeah. Natalie laughs, and they kept it in because that was a very real moment. But
right.
Yeah, that's
because that wasn't fake.
Yeah, that was Mindy Cohn laughing. That was not Natalie laughing. I didn't even see that because I was too busy. It is funny how the strap did land across her face, so that was clearly a happy accident. And now we go from there to a coffee shop. And we were doing a little research beforehand where I pulled up last week's episode, which also took place primarily in a coffee shop. And it is astounding how this coffee shop is located in Grand Central Station. They say that explicitly, and you can see when the door opens that it's like you can see like the subway stripe on you can see tile. Mm-hmm. So this is the shop in the station. It must be a part of a chain.
Right, obviously.
Because they have the identical arched coffee shop on the window.
Yeah.
And the same neon coffee shop on the other side of the door. Because if you're not sure from this side if it's coffee shop, we got to tell you on this side, it's coffee shop.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah.
By using your eyes.
Yeah. Funny jokes. Joe, I'll have a cherry Coke. Blair, I'll have the same. In a clean glass.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I loved how overly New York the waiter was, too.
Oh, yeah. He looked like Mario Cantone, didn't he? Like a tall...
It's just, we had that, hey, you want to have a cherry Coke or what? and I was like, Top Gun.
Yeah. Yo,
actor.
Forget about it. Bada boom, bada bing. That's a spicy meatball.
Yeah, I was like, you're hired, sir.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, they're like, oh, that is the best...
That's the best.
That is what we were thinking about. We were thinking
we needed strong New York.
We needed someone to do a really authentic New York accent.
Right.
And he hit it out of the park, really. So what happens in the coffee shop is let's just give the long and short of it is Blair and Joe show up.
Right.
And then their friends show up to meet them. Blair is met by her friend Dina Becker. Dina Becker is a rich, bitchy, spoiled, entitled, bad person.
Stop talking about me that way.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is that my favorite thing is it seemed like the director said, hey, when you enter the scene, I want you to look around for your friends. And I love how young actresses, sometimes when they walk into a scene where they're looking for something, they look up at the ceiling.
Oh my God!
And I was like,
did she? I didn't notice her doing that.
Is your friend on the ceiling? It's fine.
Yeah,
no big deal. But what am I? I don't have a degree in theater or anything.
But no, I've seen that happens on stage too. Absolutely, where it's okay. This is now. Remember, this is your first time occupying this space. What would you do if this were your first time walking?
Right.
And so if you walk in.
Because every time I walk into a room, I make sure to check every corner.
I look the corner of the ceiling, corner of the ceiling. Yeah, that is such an amateur mistake that's sadly all too common.
Coming from professional Orlando artists.
Yeah, damn.
You heard it here.
Fucking straight here.
First.
Dina is a stuck-up, spoiled bitch, and she's about to get way worse.
Right.
And then Joe's friend Jesse shows up. Jesse doesn't even get a last name in this episode. I did look it up on IMDb. No last name.
So Question is Joe? Since this is my first time on the show.
Yes.
Is Joe gay?
No.
But people have talked about her being a lesbian, right?
Every minute of every day.
Okay,
since
good.
Her
Okay, because I was like, am I the only person to discover this?
No, you are.
Because the sexual tension between Joe and her best friend was palpable.
Oh, did you think really there was some like they were?
Well, they had that huge argument, and
Yeah.
then her friend storms out.
Yeah.
And then she comes back, and I swear to God, I thought they were gonna kiss.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was the first time that I got excited.
Yeah. And wow.
That
Okay.
and the ski poles moment.
You see what you look for. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we meet Jesse now. Just to sort of make it very clear, Dina has very long, perfectly styled hair. Dina's wearing a fur coat.
Which always means rich.
Of course.
In
And then she
TV
says to
land.
Blair, "Is that all your luggage?" And Blair says, "I didn't have time to pack everything."
The hint was she didn't pack enough because she's rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. She should have more bags.
Now, Jesse is wearing jeans and a leather coat, which
Right.
offsets Joe's dark pea coat perfectly.
She's like a greaser from the 50s.
Yeah.
Right.
we joke about...
Where's Pony Boy?
Hey, we sometimes I'll start doing Joe like this. And,
Yeah.
And Matthew Arter's like, when did she join Sha-Na-Na?
Well, and also I kept writing notes about her New York accent, which
Yeah.
I
You don't like
had
her?
a problem with.
You didn't like
I mean,
Joe's?
I-
You're
and I
not the
can't-
first, but Nancy McKeon is such a good actress. I forgive her everything for the rest of her life.
Well, I mean, she seems like she looks like Soleil Moon Frye, and that's all that matters to me.
So we have a very weird moment, and it starts here where a group of Asian men bump into Joe and Jesse, and Jesse is like, "Hey, fuck you, you fucking fucks."
Well, she said boat people.
Did she say boat?
She literally called them boat people.
And then it
You know,
was
the
like
fresh off the boat. That's what
fresh
they-
off the boat, yeah.
Right.
And then later she's like, "Hey, chill out." And she's like, "You can't go anywhere." Oh, and the funny thing is they bump into her and she talks to them. They kind of do the bowing thing, so
Right.
they kind of have that Japanese businessman
Right.
type of thing.
And I'm
which
sure
is-
they weren't even Japanese. I'm sure they were all probably Taiwanese or something. But
Or
actors,
Korean or
right,
Vietnamese or whatever.
You know,
But yeah.
Hollywood only hired Asians.
Yeah, but she even says, "God, you can't go anywhere in this city without running into the cast of Shogun."
Oh, right.
That's what she says.
Yes.
So it's just like, oh, okay, we're a little bit of a racist here.
Well,
good to know.
Another sign of the times where I don't think even if we were showing somebody being racist that we could say boat people.
Yeah.
Because I was shocked.
Can you still?
I mean, who says boat people anymore?
I'm not really familiar. When you say it immediately, I think, oh, you must be referring to fresh off the
Well,
boat.
'cause
it's not a term I ever would have used, but now I know I definitely will never use
Yeah,
it.
make sure you just don't use it.
It's apparently a bad word. And surprisingly, Blair is the one that says, "What are you guys talking about? This is New York City. It's a melting pot." She actually says.
Yeah, the uppity white woman is the one who gets everybody together.
Yeah.
Says, "Hey, don't be so racist.
Yeah, which is
Don't be like me."
Yeah, exactly. Don't be racist, because I could buy and sell all of you.
Right. Don't be racist, you lesbian.
So what ends up happening is the four of them begin sparring back and forth. Somehow they get sniping at each other. They call the rich girl's Barbie doll. Blair or one of the others refers to Joe and Jesse as the sweat hogs.
I was literally gonna ask that. I have in parentheses sweat hogs.
Do you not know what the sweat hogs are?
No, what is that?
That's Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, I know,
class-
once again, another one of those I know of the show, but
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Welcome Back, Kotter was essentially a show about a teacher with a group of misfits in his
okay.
class. That's what John Travolta was on it.
And
That
so
was
what about remember Head of the Class? Remember that show?
It's kind of like the earlier version. And The Facts of Life was initially conceived as being a female Welcome Back, Kotter, as being a school-based, but girls.
So
because
just a bunch of misfit girls.
Misfit Girls are, a school-based girl show.
Island of Misfit Girls.
Welcome.
Yeah, I have that movie at home.
Mrs. Karen, and I'm so happy to see you here. And at one point they say, Jesse says, "In your ear."
I heard rear at first.
In your, no,
and I was like,
in your ear.
oh, she's definitely lesbian now.
Yeah. Oh, grease monkey. They call each other this grease monkey. And then she says, "In your ear." And then Dina, Blair's friend, looks at her and says, "Turn blue."
And there it is again.
Call back.
Right.
There
And
it is.
They brought that joke back.
And it worked.
It's the rule of two.
Yeah. The comedy rule of two.
Back in my comedy days, I'm pretty sure rule of two is a thing.
Yeah, the comedy rule of twos.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a callback. I think you can
Right.
justify it as a callback. Callback, you don't need to have
The audience goes, "Oh, I remember that."
Yeah,
God
that was
damn it.
ha ha ha. That's a thing I heard.
I've heard that twice now,
Yep.
sir.
So then from this scene, the girls go off to do their respective weekending. And and this is the end of the act. We're at the end of the act.
Well, and that's the thing is this episode was so fast.
It went by really fast.
Well, it's like opening with the skiing hand jobs, and jumping to the coffee shop where they get the Diet Cokes, and then it's making the tuna salad, making
not
sure
defacing the mural.
not defacing the mural, and then I missed you. We have a lot more in common than we thought. Dun-dun-dun.
Da-da-da. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it does
was
cover a lot of ground.
So if I do the TV guide thing again, that's the way I'm gonna describe the show.
Your TV guide thing was lovely.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, we're at the break for the commercial, so Logan, this is the time when I like to get to know my guests,
Sure.
and
Do I have to take my shirt off?
that is a requirement
Okay, good. 'Cause
to start.
See, this is a podcast, so my shirt's already off.
Yeah,
I do all my podcasts in the nude.
Matthew would go, "David, put your pants on." It's like, stop. But so I would like, speaking of TV guide synopses and breaking down, I would like for you to tell me, please, just very quickly, a little getting to know you thing. Logan, where were you born?
I was born in Bellevue, Washington.
And where did you grow up?
In Bellevue, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're a Pacific Northwesterner, I believe
I
is what
am.
we call you.
So I'm a vampire.
That explains the very pale
I
skin.
have zero melanin.
And in the sunlight, he glitters like diamonds.
I glitter like diamonds. What are you? I'm not a vampire. But so I'm a vampire musical theater
Musical theater
actor.
aficionado. As now, let's talk about where did you study to be an actor performer?
So I grew up doing theater in the Seattle area.
Okay.
I did theater with a little known person named Megan Hilty. She's done some Broadway
Megan
shows.
Hilty. Whatever happened to her?
Well, she's apparently doing some Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
And she's I don't know, but. So we grew up doing theater together.
Oh, are you still friends with her, or?
I think we had a really awkward breakup in high school. It
Oh,
was one of those breakups where
You
I was like,
dated her.
it's like, don't break up with me. Why?
She said that to you.
No, I said that to her, unfortunately, because I think even then I had enough.
You're gonna be on the TV show Smash, which is gonna be a horrible show, but you're still gonna come out of it with your dignity intact, and I want to ride your celebrity coattails.
You're gonna be huge, and by huge I mean some people will know you and some people won't. But
You're gonna have a supporting part on the ill-timed Sean Hayes sitcom that doesn't last because your adversarial relationship with Linda Lavin makes absolutely no sense.
now that's a TV guide description of a good show.
Yeah.
That's good. But then I went to the Boston Conservatory
Okay. And that is located in
L.A.
the LA, the
Boston,
LA,
California.
Boston.
And actually, you're gonna
you went to the LA chapter of the Boston Conservatory.
since you're from not from Massachusetts.
Yep, south of Boston. Hawaii.
You're gonna hear the worst thing I've ever uttered to anybody. I'm saying this to all 5 of your listeners.
Yes, please.
That when I was accepted into the Boston Conservatory, I went to my brother and I said, well, I'm moving to New England. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, where, I mean, like, what's the capital of New England? And he's like, New England's not a state, you idiot.
It's not.
I was like,
New England was a state.
Yeah, because I think, well, it's also funny because it's like, in my defense, there was a ton of people that have no idea that the West Coast is just only 3 states.
Okay, I guess.
And the
I know
Northeast
that,
is like a big jumble of baby states.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they were like the 13 original colonies, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're
And
just
that's not New England.
You're a jumble of baby states.
Yeah.
Just admit it.
Yeah, and also in your defense, you're pretty.
And in my defense, I'm stupid.
Yep.
So
So you went to Boston Conservatory,
I did.
and what did you come out of that with? What
I
degree?
I got a degree in musical theater.
Okay,
That
A
exists.
bachelor's.
A bachelor's.
Bachelor's in musical theater.
Yeah.
Now, for those who cannot see you but are listening,
Right.
you are you are 6'3" or 6'4"? Did you say
4.
6'4". You are you have dark hair,
Yes.
brown eyes. You are very tall. You are handsome. You are well built, and you have a beautiful, rich baritone voice.
Sometimes.
So, all the rest of us hate you. I just want you to realize that you are the archetype of the leading man with a capital LM.
Thank you.
As far as that's how you would cast. You wouldn't say, we got this nebbish little weird guy who's going to come
Right.
snaking his way in and say a couple of funny lines. It's like, you don't go to you. You're like, we need have you ever played Trevor Graydon in Millie?
No, but I do want to do that show.
That would be that is like the role I instantaneously put you in.
Yeah.
Is you're kind of like a Cheyenne Jackson type.
Well,
really.
and who I know from Seattle. He and I worked at the same theaters back then.
Shut up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't
how
like
did
friends
you
with
two-
him. We just worked at the same theaters. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And well, literally, because it's like you wouldn't work together because you guys are a redundancy. You're the same.
Well, and that's it's funny. In Seattle, which is a great theater town.
Yeah.
I worked a lot at the Fifth Avenue Theater, which started like Hairspray. And,
Oh, yeah.
Aladdin and Catch Me If You Can. But
How Now Dow Jones.
right. Yes, yeah, that one.
Very well known.
But in Seattle, there's only like 6 leading men.
Oh, okay.
And so there's literally only a handful of us. And Cheyenne was one of them. And he started working at the Fifth Avenue, and then he moved to New York, and now he's famous. But the whole reason I left Seattle was for that reason, is that since there's only 6 of us, that we're always competing for the same jobs.
Yeah.
And it just becomes ugly where you're only doing one show a year. And so
and you're like, so I'm going to go to New York City where there's much less competition.
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to New York City, and then I'm going to get hired for Walt Disney World, and I'm going to move there for the rest of my life.
Is that what your
Kinda.
journey was? Did you move to
Kinda.
New York City to try it?
I did move to New York City to try to do the thing, and
Okay.
I did a couple little things, and I say I worked on Broadway, Westchester Broadway Theater.
Okay.
So and
Yeah.
and then
How long were you up there doing that and making a living?
about 2 years, and then
And did you make a living as a performer? Did you have to
I
wait
did a little bit,
tables?
but oh yes, I waited lots of tables.
Okay.
I was a bartender as well. I ruined my liver living in New York City.
Girl.
Yeah, and then this little company called Walt Disney World was
Walt what again?
Disney something or
Walt
other.
Disney. Okay,
was,
yes, I believe I have heard of them.
And sometimes they do auditions in New York City. And they were auditioning for a show, Beauty and the something or other.
Yeah.
And then here I am.
Yes, there
And
you are.
We have an actor in Orlando who works at Finding Nemo the musical, which I also do. And we were doing a gig together, and I was like, "Hey, you live in New York too. What? Tell me some of the stuff you've done." And he's like, it's an original cast of Beauty and the Beast. And
Yeah.
I was Chris in Miss Saigon and Phantom. I was like, "Oh, so not very much.
No.
Not all the roles I've ever wanted to play on Broadway, but it's nice to see. I'm glad you're working at Finding Nemo the musical.
Glad you're getting the shifts that I need.
Right. I'm glad that you're just working at Disney World now.
Yeah.
So if you ever wonder about the talent that works at Walt Disney World, that's the kind of talent we have.
Yeah. Oh no, we do. We have people from all walks. So talking about the leading man type, the tall, dark, handsome baritone.
Right.
Well, there is a certain role there's a certain role in that said show of Gaston, and
Right.
you have been very good friends with Gaston for how long now?
Just over 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you could say we've been pretty close, him and I.
Very, very
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
And you were also in Finding Nemo, the musical,
Right.
Alongside friend of the podcast, Paul Padilla.
Yes, that's true. Well, it's also funny is I sometimes also work in the Green Army, where I've met some real hacks in the acting
In the
business.
Green Army, you've been friends with Sarge, I believe.
Yeah, and what I sometimes I want to say large and in charge, like Sarge, who's roughly the size of a barge.
Oh.
See how I just
nice.
tie all those things together?
That is beautiful.
But
so that's your entire
that's my whole Disney career wrapped up into one thing.
Phrase. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. Finding Nemo wasn't in there, but it's fine.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'll
there.
cut that part.
Hey, you can't again, ladies and gentlemen, he's pretty.
Thank you. My mom thinks so.
So, well, good. Well, let's come back from our commercial now. And coming back from the commercial, we essentially have 3 scenes. And you know what? Let's get to the long and short of it. First, we have a scene in a very swanky, upscale 1980s kitchen. I feel like there's somebody out there who would look at that set and say, oh my God, that's the kitchen from XYZ show.
You know what I thought it was? I thought it was from the Carousel of Progress.
Oh.
So if there's any Disney fans out there, and there's probably a couple.
It looked a little too 80s. Even the Carousel of Progress doesn't get much past
big,
the 70s.
Bright, beautiful tomorrow.
So this kitchen, we come in and Blair and Dina are there, and Dina is pissed because Hildy, her maid, has apparently taken off for the afternoon because she had some problem with her teeth.
That bitch.
And so the long and short of it is they have friends coming over, and she's like, what the fuck are we going to do? And Blair says, we can make some food. And Dina is literally like, Dina acts like she has never, ever been in the kitchen.
Which is funny because at least from that set, the kitchen seems like her entire house.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
We don't see any other part of it.
Yeah, we don't see. I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, for somebody who's never been in the kitchen, I feel like you live in the kitchen.
Yeah. You knew what. She wasn't looking around like, what is this weird box that gets hot?
She wasn't looking around like her entrance in the last scene.
But the thing is, Blair is like, what? We'll just make them something. It was kind of nice in that as we are quickly locking into what the show is about the evolution of our characters. Oh. And Blair very quickly is like, we can make them something. And she's like, what do you mean make? What is this word?
We can pull tuna out of a can.
We can pull tuna out of a can.
And mix it with mayo.
Blair takes a gigantic can of tuna fish, puts it in one of those, it's the size of what is it the size of?
A barge.
A barge.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, hey-o.
Oh.
And she uses one of those electric can openers.
Yeah.
That beautifully from the 70s and the 80s. Mm-hmm. We totally had one.
Right.
Opens it up, dumps the can of tuna into the bowl. And Dina is acting like Blair is splitting an atom. Mm-hmm. And then Blair grabs the mayonnaise jar and does a very funny thing where she just takes it and just shakes the mayonnaise out and just lets it pour and glop into the bowl.
Yeah, she was definitely shaking that mayo out.
And I mean that in the dirtiest way possible.
Gotta shake that mayo, baby.
But the thing is, honestly, if it was that size of a can of tuna, that's about how much mayonnaise I would probably put. I like my mayo.
So do you have no arteries anymore?
I don't go to the doctor anymore for fear of what I might learn.
For fear of death.
Yes.
Sir, you are a walking tumor.
So Blair is making this stuff, and she explains to Dina that I've been working in the kitchen. I know how to, this is not a big deal. Why is this such a big fucking deal to you? And Dina's like, you work in the kitchen? You know how to uncan tuna fish? Wow. I don't know what that school is having happen. That school is going downhill. I saw your friend, that riffraff they're letting in. Ugh. And Blair is all, the school is fine. I think you're just a cunt.
Yeah, that was actually in the show.
Wow. How they got that past standards and practices, I'll never know.
I don't understand how they actually let that go.
And then Hildy comes back, and she's like, Hildy, why did you leave? And how could you put me in this? And you had me worried. And Hildy was like, the food's all ready.
I was having an abortion. Which was also in the show randomly.
I got back as fast as I could.
You don't know how long an abortion takes nowadays.
This show is about issues, and that's another issue.
Yeah, this is my fact of life.
And then I had to put my father into a nursing home. But Hildy is calm and clearly used to being abused like this, and she's like, "What? it's all ready. It's in the fridge. I took care of everything. And
the fetus. Sorry, I quit. Go ahead. One more time. Rewind.
And then Blair, as she leaves, Blair says, well, is your tooth okay? And she says, ask my dentist. He's the one that's got it.
That was a zinger.
Great line.
Right.
That was Eve Arden couldn't have delivered that one
Yeah,
better.
right.
But the thing is, and then Dina takes that as nothing less than a declaration of war.
Right.
How dare you take her side?
And the best part is she did that classic actory thing where
Dina's awful.
She gave a
Awful.
She gave a one-liner and walked 3 steps to the right with her back turned.
Yeah. I'm walking down camera left.
Right. And I'm going to turn my shoulder to you so
Yeah.
you're looking at the back of my head.
Yeah. And Dina not and everything she's saying is punctuated like this. What do you mean you cook food at that school? She's not.
Cans of tuna, you dirty whore.
It's like I went to the William Shatner School of Acting.
Yeah, I think that was the only school of acting in the late 70s.
It was bad. Anyhow, as she is once again ratting out, dissing the school, Eastland School, Blair comes back, and what is Blair's retort that ends the scene? Dina, in your ear.
Yeah.
But bam! You crushed her!
I was assuming it was going to be go fuck yourself.
Yeah, well,
but I was like, in your ear, that's a close
as
runner-up.
we said earlier, that's the Network 1982 equivalent of go fuck yourself.
Of in your ear, yeah.
So then from there we go to a community recreation center, a community rec center.
Right.
And Joe and Jesse are playing foosball.
I also love that there was no sound of a ball. Did you notice that? They were
They're just
really
turning
going at that foos.
Yeah.
And I was like, doesn't foosball usually include a ball?
Yeah.
But, hey, it's acting. It's fine.
Yeah. So at this community rec room, we've got a couple of old guys playing checkers. We got a couple of old ladies doing a puzzle or something. And we also have a pastry machine. The same pastry machine from the parlor at Eastland School.
Well, when I first saw it, I thought it was a cigarette machine. And because I was like, I forgot about
Get
cigarette
out of my
machines.
brain. Get out of my brain.
Yeah. Because, since you're from Massachusetts, one of my first jobs in Boston was working at Jillian's, which was right behind Fenway Park.
Okay, sure.
And this was when smoking was still legal.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So, yeah, we had lots of cigarette machines.
Oh, hell yeah. And I always joke, I've joked about that many times in the show about at this girls' school in the parlor having there be a cigarette machine.
Oh, there you go.
For them to buy cigarettes. But it is a pastry machine, but it looks like it's from the 60s. And I mean, it is astounding how it's like, really? You couldn't have come up with what happened to the one episode made it a candy machine because they had a character of a boy that changed, that filled the candy machine. It's like you couldn't have pulled out the candy facade.
Well, but that's what I was going to ask is that pastry machine, like, is that a candy machine that sells pastries? Like, is it, like, do donuts come out of this machine?
Like Danish in a wrapper kind of
or
a
are
thing?
they like Little Debbie's?
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's like they're Twinkies and Little Debbie's. It's hard to tell.
What'd you call me?
You are not a twink, darling.
No,
You'd be more of a daddy, I think.
Oh, well, you should see me when I don't dye my hair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, silver fox.
If you grew the beard.
I can only grow a goatee. I look more like a baseball player.
Oh, curious.
Yeah, I wish I could grow a beard. I don't have enough testosterone.
Again, we can explore and do a lot of trial and error if you need
fine.
to learn more things about yourself.
Why are
later.
all these podcasts? I'm naked in all these podcasts.
It's crazy. That's good. At least I put a tea towel down on the seat. So then as the scene progresses, we witness Jesse being 10 times worse a human being than Dina was in the previous scene.
Yeah, so we thought Dina was a real bitch because of the whole tuna thing.
Yeah, Dina's fault is her snobbishness and her classist attitudes.
She doesn't know how to treat her indentured servants.
The hired help, as it were. And but then we come over to this and we get into Dina. First of all, the old guys drop the checkers and say, "Hey, will you pick that up?" And she's like, "Fuck off, you old fucking fucks."
Well, I was like, what? Did like an old person like rub her the wrong way as she grew up? Like, do New Yorkers not like old people?
Well, I mean,
who does?
Nobody likes old
Nobody
people.
likes
Come
old
on. I'm old and I hate myself.
Yeah, I hate myself on the daily.
But she talks about that she alludes to the fact that they're the ones that are always calling the cops on us, meaning they're the ones.
That's why.
It's kind of like, nah, I don't help them, they don't help us kind of a thing.
Right, but we share this rec center together.
Yeah. But then we get to her commenting on a new mural. You can see they're just finishing. There's still some paints on the side that they're in the process of painting. And she says, everywhere you go, you may as well be doing a conga dance.
But then she stepped on the other girl's line about it's better than disco.
Oh, I didn't hear that line either.
Exactly, because it was almost like the people laughed at the racist joke and not the music joke.
Yeah, they should have been because Joe is kind of coming back at her.
Right.
She says, "Conga," says, "Well, it's better than disco," and then she's like, "Yeah, well." Around this place, you got to learn to speak Spanish. It's the only language you hear anymore. And Joe says, so what's wrong with hearing different languages and different cultures? And then Jesse really pushes back and is like, come on, those people are taking over. And she says, I got an idea. And she happens to have a can of spray paint in her jacket, like you do.
Don't we all? Yeah.
And she says that she goes to spray paint on the mural to deface this mural. And Joe says, don't do it. And she comes back with, hey. And Joe's like, it's nice. She's like, you don't know. You're not here anymore. You don't know what this place is turning into, kind of a thing.
Right.
And
then Joe stabbed her to death.
Stabs her.
And I was like, what kind of show is this, David? He said this was a normal...
And then the old men helped her bury the body and knew to put lime on it so that it wouldn't smell and the dogs wouldn't find it.
And then they cha-cha'd their way out of there.
It was really funny.
What
and
an
Mrs.
episode.
Garrett joined and led the conga line.
As she skied down the mountain.
Wow.
What an episode this was.
Wow, yeah.
Of racial tension and class.
Yeah. But the words that Dina says after Joe literally wrestles the paint can away from her to keep her from spraying it, Dina says, you can take their side, you can sing La Cucaracha with them, but not with me. And then she leaves. And then there's this moment where everybody is looking at them because they've just made a scene in this neighborhood recreation center. And then Jesse comes back with kind of like we got to get going kind of a...
Well, and that was like and that's where I swear that they were going to have a kiss.
You thought
because
that
I was like...
Oh, it's a lover's quarrel.
I was like, oh, they're fine now.
Yeah. If Matthew Arter were here, he would be playing my diesel horn honk. he would be tooting that thing all over this scene.
Is it the honk a term for lesbian?
It's diesel dyke.
Oh.
So then the girls leave. They're like, so it's like, okay, well, I guess it's agree to disagree. And then the girls, Joe and Jesse, leave. And there's this moment where Joe kind of looks back and slowly, pensively, like, it's kind of like that, this is my neighborhood, but do I really belong here anymore?
Do I still even belong?
Yeah. And then as the doors close, you can see the super thin, warpedy plexiglass wobble.
Oh.
It's like, hey, we're pretending to be glass, and you'll totally believe that, won't you?
But I also love that the guy who goes to take over the foosball table looks like he's straight out of the Bad video from Michael Jackson.
Oh.
Like, I feel like he was shooting that next door.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need one more street-looking guy.
Hey, go get him, yeah.
Go get him. Yeah, he'd just been dancing all day.
Yeah, he was tired, yeah.
Who's bad?
So then we go back to the coffee shop. We have one final moment with the waiter who is magnificent.
He's back again.
Blair shows up and Joe says, hey, I told you 3:15, you're late. And the guy, the Mario Cantone guy, shows up and says, hey, your friend showed up. See, you didn't have to worry.
And that's when we knew.
And Blair turns and says, you were worried about me? And Joe says, I wasn't worried. And she shoots him a death glance.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. And the audience totally eats it up. And he does kind of a...
I'm sorry.
Oh, boy. Forget about it.
Come on.
Meatball and pasta.
The meatball and pasta. Come on. I'm sorry.
Make you an offer you can't refuse. So then what we end with is the two of them are back together now. And there's kind of a, how was your weekend? It was good. It was cool.
It was just Filled with mild racism.
How was yours? Classism. That was mine.
A little bit of clash of classes.
Clash of classes. And one of the funniest lines in the whole episode, Blair says, so did you enjoy the time with your friend? What was her name? Rocky?
Oh.
And you realize, Rocky was what, 76, 77?
But I think Rocky 4 was already coming. Like,
we were already into the Rocky franchise, but it was that popular. I mean, that was hilarious too.
Right.
Again, lesbian reference number 74.
Right. Now, getting more on the lesbian train.
Yep. So it was just kind of like, how was your neighborhood? And Joe says kind of, it's the same. It hasn't changed much. And
saw a guy die today. No big whoop.
Yeah. Choked him to death with my bare hands. Yeah.
But I got a quarter.
And then there's just the moment where they just kind of look at each other pensively. And it's like, well, I guess we better get going. Yeah. So
we got a train to catch.
Yeah. So they get up and they leave. And again, these sort of theatrical endings that they've been doing, where they get up and Blair starts fumbling with all of her.
She has more bags now.
Yeah, she said if there's anything cute left in Manhattan, it's not my fault.
Right,
just cute.
Because she shopped a lot.
Because she's a shop. Because she's rich.
Because she's
in case you didn't know. So she starts fumbling with her bags, and then Joe, without saying anything, whatever, Joe just reaches down and grabs and takes one of her bags, and there's this look exchanged like, we're friends again, and we now understand more of who we are and how we've rubbed off on each other.
Because that's the facts of life. And then they did that classic 80s freeze.
Yeah, and then they punched in the air while jumping.
They punched and jumped at the same time.
And they played the Eye of the Tiger, which I thought was an odd choice.
Yeah, or Duran Duran.
I love to hate you. That's Erasure, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I get them all mixed up.
That is their anthem, though. That really
is. It is.
But yeah, and so it's honestly, there's bad performances here. By the way, the girl that plays, we didn't even talk about the actresses, and you know what? Fuck it, we're not gonna. Tough. So we are at the end of the episode.
We did it.
Can you think of a commercial from the time or from your childhood that pops to mind, a favorite commercial that might be of interest to my fives of listeners?
I think, was it Imperial Butter that did the and every time they would put the butter on something, they'd get the crown.
Bling! The crown would appear. Absolutely. Imperial margarine. Yeah. It's not butter.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I can't believe it's not butter.
Butter. That's parquet.
I remember that too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Imperial margarine. Absolutely. That's a thing where they go to eat the piece of toast with butter on it and gling! There's a crown in their head.
Yeah. Or speaking of toast and butter, remember I think this was the 90s though, right? Was the Tom, or no, who has the English muffins, and they go, it makes my mouth water.
It must be Thomas's English muffins.
I don't remember that. Child, and he goes, it tastes like it's got butter inside.
I don't know this.
It makes my mouth water.
I have to find this now.
Yeah, I think it might be 90s though.
Okay, that's why it's a little after my time.
Yeah, but
I wasn't watching.
But apparently I like commercials that involve butter.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of butter, we have some toast, some bagels, and some fruit and coffee. We were having a little sort of a continental breakfast.
And I appreciate it because it's only 7 p.m.
Yeah. Well, you were supposed to be here earlier.
Yeah, but
work.
I had important things.
Work beckoned. That's the work comes before all. That is the life of
5 dozen eggs beckons.
But that's it. Work. If I say to all of my guests, it's like if work calls you in at the last minute, you know you can cancel with me. I get it because we just got to make a living, and
when the mouse gets it first.
When you get an offer, if you don't have a full-time contract, when they come a call in, you answer.
Well, I appreciate the tens of dollars that I got for being on your podcast.
Yes,
Thank
true.
You.
When I monetize this baby, look out.
To the moon.
Yeah, look out. Yes. So, Logan Benedict, please come back soon.
I will.
As you said earlier, you have no excuse. You live nearby, so you can absolutely do
just
that.
Put a microphone through my window.
And as I'm already sitting outside in the bushes outside your bedroom. That's going to be very convenient.
I knew that was you.
It is. So until next time, my darling. Bye.
Thank you.
And there you have it. That was Logan Benedict. Don't really have much to add to that show. Not really finding any points I didn't get to make. Check out the website. I'm going to post a few supplemental bits and pieces that might be of interest or diversion. And that's about it. Logan was super fun, and I cannot wait to have him back. Next week, I'm going to be watching one of my favorites, actually. Season 3, Episode 20, Kids Can Be Cruel. And my special guest is going to be Paul Padilla. Yes, it's already this far into the season. I can't believe we weren't able to get him in here sooner, but we did manage to do it, and I'm really thrilled. The show is actually going to be awesome. It's already recorded as I am recording this, and it's going to be really, really cool. So that's all. All I can say is what I say every week. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the lets. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.